Hey everyone, I'm Geeta Nadkarni, founder of Impact with Influence, and joining me today is Kakali Bhattacharya, and she is the founder of the S2S mentorship program. And I'm just gonna bring her on so she can explain to you what S2S stands for, and we'll talk right away about the kind of results that she's seen with Impact. Hey Kakali,
Hello,
welcome.
thank you for having me here. Hi, everyone. So, S2S mentoring is for academics and specifically qualitative researchers, and I help them figure out how to do their research without breaking themselves in multiple pieces, how to come from a place of wholeness. So, it ends up being some skill building. Also, part life coaching and also part academic wellness. So that's S2S. S2S stands for strength to strength, because some people want to build on strengths and they don't want to see things through a deficit perspective. And then also struggle to strength or struggle to success, because some people are struggling with certain things and they need some help and they don't want to bypass the struggle. They want to really get to the root of the struggle and neutralize whatever it is that's coming up for them.
And I want to just put this on the table for anybody who's listening or watching and thinking, man, I've been struggling so long and so hard to name my program this like perfect name. And you've got an acronym, and the acronym means different things to different people. And how has that affected your results, Kakali? Do you find that people are like, well, if I need to know what the S's stand for before I can sign
No,
up?
nobody Nobody asks. Sometimes they ask, but they don't care. They really just care what is the program, what am I delivering, and how can that help them. The name's just a detail, but it's not the one that drives them towards or away from the program.
Love it. And what of your, just in terms of pure financials, if we just dive into that juicy nugget right from the very beginning, when you signed up for Impact, when we had our preliminary conversation, did you have a program yet? Like, where were you at in terms of the creation and whatnot? You had an idea that I remember we talked about, but what
Yeah.
else was actually done?
So at that time, I was already working with a business coach who was helping me just kind of distill down my message. Who's my target audience? How would I help them? So I had that clarity, but I wanted to sharpen that clarity because I was hearing you say you could do like a group program, and I was planning for one-on-one mentoring. And so I was kind of like, can I do both? Can I do a hybrid? What do I want to do? But your messaging really appealed to me because I was like, group would be easier in the sense that it would be like one time meeting, and
It's
you know
scalable.
and it's scalable. Yes. So when I joined, I didn't have a sense of what a group program would look like yet, because I know I have a process, but I also wanted to customize it for each person. So I was really stuck at like, what does that need to look like if it's customized and process driven? And
And
so
you're
that, go ahead.
Right. No, and you have a full-time job. Like, you also happen to be an academic, and unlike a lot of people who have full-time jobs, you don't particularly want to quit your job. You like
No.
your job. So it was kind of like, also then how do I create something that I can put my essence into that won't eat me up and swallow me up and burn me out. So that was kind of an
Yeah.
interesting nugget
Yes.
that we had to work with as well.
Yeah, so scalability has to be measured with like my full-time job commitment. And I don't want to quit the job. I think that mentoring while I have a job gives me a different kind of, mojo and credibility versus if this was my full-time job. Doesn't mean that it wouldn't have credibility, but I'm attracting different kind of people as a result of it. So I did that, and then I did the vivid vision, which is like the first thing you do when you come to a program, and imagine a time in the future and every aspect of your life and from the time in the future. And then so I said I would like to in 2025 make 30K a month and see what it feels like. I made 32K in my first launch.
And that
Now,
was 8 weeks into this program,
yes,
correct?
before the 8 weeks were
Up.
up, I made 32K. And I started selling much later because I had resistance to selling. I had
I
all sorts
remember
of
that.
narratives about selling. So I didn't start selling until like week 6, I want to say. I didn't start selling until much later. But by the time the program ended the last day, by that day, I had 32K.
And
And
you had to stop because, correct me if I'm
yes,
wrong, but I do remember a certain Kakali who has a wait list on top of everything. So it's not even like the pipes run dry or anything.
no. No, I had to stop because of my full-time job. I can only take on so much before it becomes a conflict of interest with my job because I'm using too much of my free time to not do my job but to do this. So I have to also stop at a certain number. So I stopped at that number, and so other people were asking. So I have a first to know list now that is very customized. It's a very warm, fuzzy list. It's not a cold list, and they're wanting. I don't know how many of that will convert into closing, but it's a nicely curated, preferred, ideal audience.
Right. And they're like, Kakali, take my money. And I get it. Until the money's in the bank account, it doesn't count. And I'm, this is what we live by. So I get that. But at the same time, these are people, just so we're clear, you're not doing cold outreach to them. They're reaching out to you and saying, Kakali, let me in. Like, please, when can we work together? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, that is correct, including somebody yesterday. The other thing that I also learned from doing this is to not limit myself to thinking people don't have money. Like when I walked in, I thought like, people who work in this space have limited income. But I'm realizing that when you offer something people value, they figure out their resources. They figure out how they can make the resources happen.
I love that you brought that up because I'm going to talk to you about your sales resistance, right?
Yes.
let's rewind before that a little bit and just be like, okay, what were some of your expectations joining Impact? I know you wanted to deepen your nuance around messaging. I know you wanted to develop something that was that hybrid, which is exactly what we teach. You don't sacrifice the customization and you don't sacrifice the scalability. You get to have both, and we figured out a structure that does that. But what were some of your expectations? And then what did you think was going to happen versus what actually happened?
Well, I walked in feeling like I needed help with the mindset. I wasn't focused on the number. So if I didn't do the vivid vision, I wouldn't even know the number. The vivid vision made me think really big. And that was the big I could think at that time. I want 30K a month. So that was my think really big, because I'm not making 30K in my regular job per month. So think really big was like, wow, that is like many times expanded from what I make currently in my full-time job. So that was good. But then I really wanted the mindset piece because Geeta, you said like, business development is self-development, and I really wanted to kind of experience that. And I've not heard people talk about the blocks in the way you do, and then just your information in the webinar, the video nar, plus your Facebook lives were so content rich. It wasn't like flaky, superficial over here, and then now if you get into the program, you'll do this. So that level of integrity was really impressive to me, because I was like, if this is happening without money, what happens with money? So I was really curious to gain a deeper understanding of that. And so that was really, the driving force. And I felt like whatever my limiting beliefs are, maybe I can get to that, and that can like translate across the board, on all other parts of my life as well as the business part. And I knew that if I could sort that out, I could help my people, because my people are not trying to get money at the end of this. It's not like they are going to become coaches themselves and they can now make this much money. My people need more healing and more integration of all parts of themselves. So I was really drawn to the mindset piece more than anything else. But I also wasn't sure like where I would go. So that stayed a question mark, but I remain optimistic. So I was hoping that I could get to the bottom of a few things that would be really helpful.
Got it. So if I'm hearing you say, one of the things you were kind of drawn to is you consumed, and I know you're a total researcher, like you're a high fact finder. So you took notes and you came to the lives, and you've been like, you and I like, oh, I just saw this one time and then I jumped in. You did your research and you had your understanding of what this was going to be and what it was going to cost and all this other stuff. And what was your experience of like, if all this is happening for no money, what's happening for money? Did we live up to your expectations? Do you feel like you got what you needed?
Yes, I do. And I also feel like, how do I keep this level of awareness, like super granular level awareness? How do I keep that up and continue to cultivate that in my everyday life now? There are many things that was really helpful. Like David was very good at being this sort of wisdom giant, you know.
And just for context, for people who are new to us, David is one of our mindset coaches. We have two, David and Steve, at this moment in time. And yeah, and they're both like these incredible fonts of wisdom. I'm one of their clients too. Like I do the same process that all our clients do. And yeah, every time I'm just like, stuck in this thing, drama. Then we'll go to David or Steve and they'll be like, and you could do it this way or look at it this way. And you're like, oh. Resolved without me actually having to change any facts yet. Like this is amazing. So I get it. So yeah.
And
So,
David would drop these things, these nuggets so effortlessly, like just I'm like, pause, let me just feel this in my body. And so that really helped. That really helped. And the things that got sorted out for me, obviously the work is ongoing and there's other stuff
always.
but the things that got sorted out for me was, what kind of ways am I showing up in sales call with what kind of belief systems that I have about me. Once I sorted that out, where I was giving them everything they needed in the sales call and then ruining their appetite to come into my program, that was connected to some
Belief systems.
stuff and belief system that felt like, won't you love me if I give you my all? Won't I be lovable and worthy of stuff, from you? And I had to let that go. I was like, I gotta love who I am and what I offer, and also have a detachment with it, so that if you don't accept it, it doesn't change where I am rooted about this. You can accept it, you can reject it. That's your journey. I'm not compelling you. I'm just awakening you to. Yeah, and I'm just awakening you to some things and creating some awareness for you. If this is of value to you, you'll step in. If not, it doesn't destabilize anything I'm doing, So that was really good. And then the other part that I was absolutely, very breakthrough insight for me was the upper limit problem that you pointed out, in addition to all the books you made me buy,
Made you buy. Mm-hmm. I'm the same. It's nice to be on the other side of the enablement. I'm not even slightly sorry, by the way. Just
I have to start Kindle because I don't have enough bookshelf space anymore. So I'm like getting digital books right now. I can't buy any more hard copy books. So I have bookshelves in my closet. I have custom designed my closet to have bookshelves, and there are bookshelves everywhere in my house. Every closet has a bookshelf now. So anyway, the breakthrough was like this upper limit problem that allowed me to realize that I am not letting myself receive, and I am capable and worthy of receiving more. And I've created this problem for myself. So that once that got cleared, then I didn't even have to ask people to get on my sales call. They were asking me without me doing a whole lot of funnel up, down, bundle this. It was simple, and I'm like, is this that effortless? Or
I told you so.
I wanted to be in an I told you so video with you, so I got that goal too. But if people are listening, it will sound like, you can ask me questions about sales resistance, but if people are listening, it'll sound like I'm like this weird, odd person. But I will say it was the mindset piece that moved things the way it did. And if I didn't work on the mindset piece, then I wouldn't have sustainable result to bring in the sales. It would be like whenever things lined up. But this was like consistently, after a point, it was like, whoa, got this one. Wow, got this, refused this one. Wow, got this one, So I've been refusing people and accepting people, even within the limit of people that I can accept. So I would say that the mindset piece was huge, because now that I'm aware of people talking about mindset in business, I haven't seen folks get so close to people to understand the granular nature of it. People talk in generic ways.
Yes.
But granular nature that we got on the call, where we like brainstorm through and move people from a stuck place to a place of more insight, was extremely helpful, not just for what you were doing for me, but watching it happen for other folks as well. So that was helpful, because there were people that were stuck and moving through. And I'm like, oh, if she can do it, maybe I can try this. There's other people journeying this with me. So that really helped.
That's beautiful. I received that. That is a huge, huge compliment. So thank you. I love that. I feel like I want to record a separate video and just do almost like a podcast episode on just your like receiving practice, because I know that was your thing. Like if there was one thing, every client has a different thing, and our job on our side of the stable is to figure out like what is the one thing that we can focus on, where yes, we're obviously working on all the things together, but we're putting like a whole bunch of energy towards one shift. For some people it's the sales piece, for some people it's the receiving piece. In your case, those two things were very intrinsically linked in your case, and we were like, which of these do we tweak? And we were like, receiving, let's go with the upper limit, because that's what this really is. She's got the goods, she's got everything in place, she's got the freaking asset, like she's got everything. Like, why is this not working? Oh, she's not letting it work. Okay, how do we get her past that? So that's kind of the puzzle that every client is for us. It's like, how quickly can we Rubik's cube this client to figure out what is their thing. But I would love to hear sort of the practical pieces that you started to put together, because it really was overnight. I remember you were kind of almost pissed off. Like at one point you were kind of like, oh, like I'm kind of stuck. I love how you reached out, by the way, like saying this to everybody. One of the things I really look for and look to create in every relationship that we have with a client is a partnership. And the quality of a partnership is always determined by how open and willing is each partner to reach out to the other person vulnerably and ask for what they need and give what the other person needs. And I mean, anybody who has the privilege of being a partner with Kakali, like, you're freaking lucky. And I will say this as somebody who's had that privilege. So thank you. So Kakali came in, noticed that some needs didn't feel like they were being met. And then there were, and she wrote this beautiful email just to explain kind of things. And then I wrote back, and she thought about it, and then she wrote back, and we were like, what is this? Like, so that was kind of our first clue into like, what is the juggernaut here in the middle of all of this?
Yeah.
But your openness and your willingness to be trusting and vulnerable in this process was, I mean, I am so inspired by it. Like, I was really, really inspired by it. So you're just as responsible for my breakthroughs on my end. So I'm so grateful to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very generous of you. Yeah. So the practical thing. So first, I reached out, and then we sort of figured out like, ways that I can receive more support. And then we started, going deep into it. And then we realized like one of the things that I really need to do to have, to remove an upper limit barrier, which, it's not surprising as because I do justice oriented work. So it's not surprising as a woman of color and a woman to feel like there is a glass ceiling of some sort. And this is how far you can go, because society conditions you for a really long time to normalize
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's just the way, this is as good as it gets, and
so who are you to want more, and how dare you? And
right. And then I had the other issue about like, if I'm justice oriented, am I monetizing off of people's pain and trauma? And so there was some ethical issue for me over there to sort that out. And I did sort that out. But the thing that was very counterintuitive that, I needed to receive was to lean back. Not when all this sort of, discourse is, peppered with lean in. Why don't you lean into that? Lean into the hustle, work hard. And mine was lean back and let it come to you. Wait for all these invitations and let it come to you, which for a workaholic type A type person, it's a very counterintuitive thing to do, very counterintuitive. And so I'm like, I'm going to lean back. I haven't tried this before, and I have a researcher mind. So I'm like, this part is unresearched for me. So at least I can cultivate a curiosity about this, and see what happens. And so that came into play, and I leaned back, and I just started beaming, like just the essence of my shift. I leaned back, I got what I have, and I'm deserving of more, and that was it, and I didn't do anything specifically different. It just was just trusting that I am going on a journey of curiosity about this. And so I was just leaning back. I wrote a path post, which is the post that you teach us how to write, and I wrote a path post. Everything started flooding in from there. And then I did some Facebook Live in a group that I administer, and stuff started floating in from there. And then that was it. Everything filled up. My stuff filled up. I just leaned back. I didn't hustle. I just leaned back. Now my partner would say, you say you didn't hustle, but you have 15 years of career behind you. So there was hustle before. So it's not like you were some random person off the street that people are coming
Of
to,
course.
but the part that was unfamiliar to me was, sales call and collecting, cultivating a presence that makes people want to pay money to, work with me. That part was something I didn't know. And my formula was hustle, hustle, hustle. You see people go, well, there is a lead magnet, and then you have to upsell, then you have a bundle, then you have a downsell, then you have a signature program, then you have an ascension. The people have graphs and stuff about it. And it felt like, oh, well, I just have to give myself some 5-10 years to maybe build all of this. And it just collapsed in 8 weeks. And I didn't have time to do, a website. I didn't have time to set up big email lists. I didn't have time for all of it. It was here, and the program was.
Did you even do your video now yet?
I don't even have videos for my modules in the program, because I've realized that in my first round, I need to really just customize it to the people that are there. Once I get a little bit data to see what I am repeating, I will then create a video, but I don't want to create one in advance of doing it.
Isn't this exactly what I teach in week 2?
Yes.
I told you so.
So I was kind of like, so you have to realize that as a workaholic, to go into a training program, to not have a course page set up while I'm still doing this work is very, very
triggering,
unsettling. But the lean back me says, let's just see what happens. And so that's practical, pragmatic. I'm not doing anything. What are the actions you took? I leaned back. I didn't take action. I leaned back. And if that's an action, then.
But I'll tell you, like from what I hear you say, the actions that you took were you did. Every lean back has a lean in component to it, right? It's like two sides of the coin. If you see one side more, then you see the other side less. But that side is not gone. Your partner is right. You did, you have all the chops, and that's most of the clients we work with. That's every client we work with, right? They've built their expertise. They have a process. They've proven that they've got the goods, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is the way that they got to there is now not the skill that they need to get through this next leap. They have to do a different type of thinking. Running faster isn't going to make you fly. That same action doesn't propel you to that next. You have to build a machine, right? You have to build a plane to take you to fly. So it's a different mentality. And that's kind of the jump that we help people make. And what is required is like, you're not like the pilot sitting there in his cockpit is not running like the faster it's not effortful in the same way, but he has to have a whole bunch of dials dialed in order for him to do his job right. So I think that what we helped you do is we changed. I'll tell you, all we did, this is as simple as it is and also as complex as it is, all we did was we changed the way you showed up. That's it. If we actually look at what we did, that's what we did. The way we did that is we started to dismantle some of the stories you had that prevented you from owning who you truly are and everything you brought to the table and what that looks like for other people. We helped you reconcile some of the conflict that you had around the ethics of what, charging money and making sales and working with people and so on and so forth. So like we helped resolve those things. So now all of the energy that was caught and coiled around those pieces was now available for you to show up with.
Yeah.
People love that. People wanted you the whole time. You didn't give them that part of you. The moment you did, they were like, yeah, more. And that's what you experienced. And we see this a lot with our clients, but just everybody's journey is a little bit different. And yours was just really inspiring to watch and be part of, and kind of as you shifted. And this is what I always say is, right, when you do work at this level where you're not just talking mindset, you're actually freaking in it. You're showing, not telling. it's every breakthrough that you experienced, Kakali, was one that the whole team, like, we're talking about it backstage, like we're being like, dude, look at what's happening here, or she's really stuck, like what do we do? Like all of those questions that are being brought up with you and with the other clients that we work with, we get to live that too. The watching you expand your ability to receive, what do you think that made us do? Made us start asking a whole bunch of really interesting questions about, like, okay, so how do we expand our own? Now we're sharing this on our team meeting. We're like, okay, what did you receive this week? Like, how are you receiving more this week? So now we're like practicing what you preach, what we preach to you, that you're now, it's beautiful. So thank you.
No, it's really, so the only other thing that I did, like a very, very practical thing was, so every night, and I shared that in our call, every night I just write like 3 magic moments, and it's never 3, and it makes me laugh. I start with writing 3 and I end up
That's
more
the trick.
than that.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have 2 people that I'm accountable to, and I send that out. And so it are like just the noticing of what I'm willing to receive. And these are very micro level sometimes, and sometimes it's a sales thing, sometimes it's a big major win.
We talk about the catch up.
Yes. And sometimes it's just, my previously puppy mill dog now is willing to cuddle with me for half an hour, and it's just that. And I had that moment of peace with, holding a being that had a lot of anxiety before. And to me, that's a noticing, that's a magic, that's a receiving. So while he's learning to receive more, I'm learning to receive his love, so then it expands me. So it was just a little, so I did that. I still do it. I still have my accountability folks that I send them to every night. And I do it at the end of the night, these 3 magic moments. So that really helped. And then I'm able to pass this on to the clients that I work with. How do you notice? Because if they are struggling, how do you notice? Because the flip side of it is an addiction to struggle, So the flip side of it is thinking that you have to struggle, several different layers of struggle, and have little moments of success. And then you think you've earned the success, but you can't sustain the success because you now need to go back to struggle again. And this addiction to struggle is how I navigated stuff. And I'm like, I am no longer addicted to struggle. I'm going for the effortless. I'm going for the simple. I'm going for the abundance. The abundance exists. I just need to vibe at the level of abundance to receive it, And so that's a lean back. That's not a hustle.
No.
I am away from the hustle. By that, I don't mean that I don't work hard. I certainly work hard, but my mindset is different. I work hard from a place with the ease, like the frequency of ease as a frequency of struggle.
What I understand that to be, and this is definitely a shift I've made as well, is you're working from inspiration, not scarcity. You're working not because you're like, if I don't do this, then XYZ bad thing will happen. It's like, if I do this, then XYZ awesome thing will happen. It's literally that granular a difference. And then you're fed by excitement rather than the weight of like, oh God, have to, I should, I must. You get to. And that makes all the difference in the world. It really does. Thank you, Kakali. This has been so amazing. What would you say to somebody who's watching this and who's like, man, I'm kind of tempted to work with these people. I know it's going to be a lot of money. Like, they're on that fence and they're thinking about booking the Epiphany session. What do you think? What would you say?
I would say that there is never a wrong time to invest in yourself. And what you're investing is not like, let's just get the business messaging right. What you're investing is, let's just get the messaging right with my soul, with my spirit, with my body. That's what you're really investing in. Everything else is flowing from there. So I would say do it. And I would say when you do it, be willing to look at stuff. Be just open-minded. There will be stuck. It's intense. And there will be stuck places. And you may get mad at times. And that's okay. It's okay. As long as you are honest about it and say, like, I'm going to work through this, but this is creating resistance, then it just... at the end of the day, when you're done, even if you didn't start your program, you would shift in so many ways that it's going to help you generate so many ideas that you didn't even think you could before. And it's really cool.
Aww. I have nothing further to say. What Kakali just said. That's it. Thank you so much, Kakali, for your amazing generosity. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And I will see you all next time. Bye.